Blood flowed down her leg, mixing with the dirt. The summer heat in Clear Creek was harsh, the kind that split the ground and burned a person's thoughts. Lily Millard tripped across the open field without shoes, her clothes ripped to pieces. Each step left a sign of pain behind her. She did not know where she was going, only that she had to keep moving. Her body was covered in marks. Her breath came in short gasps. The sun beat down on her shoulders and the wind carried the sound of her fear. Somewhere far behind, she was sure she could still hear laughter, that kind of laughter that follows you out of a bad place. When she reached the edge of the farm, her knees gave out. She fell hard into the soil. The world spun, blurred, then stopped to the sound of a man's boots. John Carter stepped out from the shadow of his barn. 56 years old, beard gray at the chin, eyes sharp as a bird, a man made from the land itself. He had not spoken to a person in weeks, but what he saw lying in front of him stopped his breath cold. The girl was a mess. Dust stuck to her skin, her hair stuck to her face. Tears had made lines through the dirt. Her voice broke when she tried to speak. "Please," she spoke softly. Then her hands shook as she held what was left of her ripped clothes. I have to take it off. Please help me." John froze. He had seen hurt men, dying horses, even friends killed right in front of him. But this was something else. This was what a broken soul looked like. He said nothing for a moment. Then his voice came low and calm. "Come inside." Lily walked weakly to her feet and followed him into the small cabin. It smelled of coffee, tobacco, and old wood. John poured water into a large bowl, grabbed a clean cloth and a bottle of alcohol. The room filled with the sharp smell of alcohol and blood. He cleaned your wounds, careful and slow. The girl did not cry. She only bit her lip and looked at the floor, silent and shaking. When he asked her name, she spoke softly. John nodded, saying nothing. He had questions, but he could tell the answers would hurt to hear. Outside, the wind grew stronger, crying through the fence line. Inside, only the ticking of a clock broke the silence. He looked at her again. She reminded him of someone. His sister, Sarah. She was 16 when soldiers came through the valley. He had been away that night buying cows. By the time he came back, she was gone. That guilt had lived in him ever since. Now, looking at this broken girl in front of him, John felt something old wake up. The same anger, the same sadness. But this time, he was not going to walk away.
"Drink this," he said, handing her the glass. Lily took it, her fingers shaking. She looked up, eyes red but steady. "Are you going to send me away?" John did not answer right away. He looked out the window at the land stretched far under the sun, then back at her. "No, you are safe here." The words felt heavy in the hot air for the first time in years. John Carter felt the storm building again in his chest. He did not know who had done this to her, but he knew one thing for sure. If the devil had a face in Clear Creek, John planned to meet it directly, and the question that burned in his mind was simple. Could a man who had lost everything once save someone this time before it was too late? The sun was setting when John stepped out on the porch. The sky burned orange, the color of old wounds. Inside, Livy was sleeping, her body finally giving up to tiredness. He watched the quiet horizon, the way a man watches a storm coming in. For years, John had chosen silence. No visitors, no friends, no trouble. But tonight, trouble had walked right through his door and bled on his floor, and for some reason, it felt like it belonged there. He went back inside. Lily moved when she heard the floorboards move. Her voice was soft and rough. "I did not mean to cause you any trouble." John shook his head. "You did not." He sat down across from her, poured 2 cups of coffee, and pushed one her way. Steam rose between them like a weak peace deal. "Who did this to you?" She waited, her fingers wrapped tight around the cup, her hands white. "The mayor's sons." Her eyes dropped to the floor. "They said my father owed the money, but he's been gone for a month. The sickness took him. They came anyway." John's jaw tightened. He had seen their kind before. Men who thought money made them safe. Men who believed pain was theirs to give out. He leaned back and took a long breath. "Do those boys ever pay for what they do?" Lily gave a sad laugh. "In this town, they do not pay for anything." John looked at the fire, the light shining against his face. Something hard settled in his chest again. He remembered the soldiers. He remembered Sarah. And he remembered doing nothing. That was the part that still burned. He stood up slow and steady, like a man making peace with a bad choice. "You can stay here for now." Lily's eyes grew wide. "Are you not afraid they will come?" John looked toward the door. "They can come if they want." Silence stretched between them, but it was not empty. It was heavy, full of something not said. Maybe hope, maybe just anger wearing a different face. Lily set her cup down and looked into his eyes. "I do not want to hide forever." John nodded. "You will not." He turned to hang his gun back on the wall, but his hand stopped. Then he changed his mind and set it on the table instead. The old metal looked right at home there, waiting. Outside, wild dogs cried somewhere deep in the valley. Inside, John Carter felt something he had not felt in 20 years, a goal. He knew this was not just about one girl anymore. Clear Creek had been bad for a long time, and someone had to fix it. He blew out the light, leaving only the glow from the dying fire. And in that quiet room, with a hurt girl and a loaded gun, he said to himself, "If they come for her, they will have to go through me first." But what John did not know was that the riders were already on their way. The sound came slow at first, horse steps, soft, steady, growing closer. John knew that sound. He had heard it too many times before, back when trouble wore boots and smiles. He stepped to the window and looked out across the open field. Dust was rising, 6 riders moving straight toward the house. He did not need to count twice. 3 of them were the mayor's sons. The other 3 were hired guards. Lily came down the stairs, her hair loose, eyes wide. "They found me!" Her voice broke, barely more than a breath. John nodded once, calm but cold. "Upstairs room above my bed. Do not make a sound." She waited. "John, please do not do something unwise." He gave a small smile. "Too late for that." When she disappeared into the room, John checked the gun. It still smelled of oil and old fights. He walked out onto the porch, sun cutting sharp across his face. The riders slowed to a stop about 20 feet away. Their leader, Thomas Wilson, the oldest son, gave a fake smile. "Afternoon, Mr. Carter. Heard a young lady came by your way. Her name is Lily Miller." John leaned against the post, gun in hand, but low. "I have not seen any young lady. Why?" Thomas smiled. "She stole from the bank. Father wants his money back." John let out a dry laugh. "Funny, I did not know the Miller girl worked at a bank." That took the smile off Thomas's face. The officer spit in the dirt. "Do you mind if we look around?" John stood up straight, his shadow stretching long across the dirt. "Do you have a legal paper?" The officer's jaw tightened. "I do not need one if you have nothing to hide." John looked down at his boots and then back up. He was steady. "Funny thing about the law out here. A man's land is his home. An uninvited guest, well, they are not welcome." For a second, no one moved. The wind carried the smell of sweat and gunpowder waiting to happen. Then Thomas pulled the horses, turned his horse around. "We will be back, old man." John nodded slowly. "I will be right here." When the dust settled, he went back inside. Lily was sitting on the edge of the bed, tears in her eyes. "They called me a thief. My father was the most honest man in Clear Creek." John sat down across from her, his voice soft. "They are scared of losing the power their money bought them. But fear makes men foolish, and foolish men make mistakes." He poured her a glass of water. Outside, thunder rolled far away. It was not rain. It was the sound of a fight coming to Clear Creek. "So tell me something, friend. If you were John Carter, would you stay and fight, or pack your bags and run? Take a drink of your coffee, or maybe your tea. Tell me where you are watching from and what time it is right now. And if you do not want to miss what happens next, you might want to click that join button. We're just getting started." The storm finally arrived that night. Wind cried through the valley, carrying the smell of rain and gun oil. Lily could not sleep. She sat by the window, watching lightning cut the sky. Every flash showed the fear on her face. John was still awake too. He sat by the fire, cleaning his gun again, in the same way some men pray. When she came down the stairs, he did not look up. "Can't sleep?" She shook her head. "I've been thinking." He poured her some coffee. It was bitter and strong, but it gave them something to hold on to. "They will come back, John. You know that." He nodded. "Yes, I know."
Lily leaned forward. What if we did not wait? What if we went to them? That made him look up. To them? She took a breath. The bank, every deal, every fake loan, every name, it is all written down. If we can get proof, we can end this. John's face changed. You were talking about breaking into a bank. That is a serious crime. So is what they did to me. Her words were quiet but sharp. John looked into her eyes. They were not just scared anymore. They were ready. He leaned back, thinking. Old man Wilson is too cheap to fix that back window. He always said no one is foolish enough to crawl through broken glass. Lily smiled for the first time in days. I guess he never met us. By midnight, they were in town. The rain had turned the dirt streets into rivers of mud. The bank stood dark and silent, just like every secret it kept. They moved like shadows. John went first, clearing the way, his boots moving without sound. Lily found the broken window. Her hand shook as she pulled herself through, but she did not stop. Inside, the air was thick and old. John followed close behind, light in hand. They did not talk. They did not need to. She went straight for the paper drawers. Her fingers moved fast. She looked like someone who had spent many nights helping with her father's store books. Here, she spoke softly. John brought the light closer. Row after row of names, women who had paid debts, fake names, and money moved through fake accounts. The list was very long. This is not just a few bad people, John said. This is a whole bad system. Lily kept copying names, her writing fast but clean. Outside, thunder rolled again, closer this time. When they were almost done, John froze. Footsteps, slow and heavy, coming from the front door. He blew out the light and grabbed her hand. Voices sounded from the front room. "Check the back. I saw a light." John's heart beat fast. He put a finger to his lips. Lily nodded, holding the papers to her chest. Through the darkness, he could hear the officer's voice. "Well, well, what do we have here?" John tightened his grip on the gun. He knew there would be no talking this time, and the next 5 seconds would decide if they would live to see the morning. The first light came slowly over Clear Creek. Smoke still rose from what used to be the town bank. The fire from the night before had burned through the roof, leaving only black wood and silence. It took days for the smoke to go away, and even longer for the truth to reach the city. But when it did, the law came riding fast, like thunder on the plains. John and Lily stood on the hill above, watching the lawmen ride in. This time, they were not the local officers' men. These were federal officers sent from the city. By noon, half the town was in trouble. The mayor's sons, the officer, every man tied to that bad group. When the noise stopped, John looked at Lily. Her face was calm and peaceful. She had been through a very hard time, but she had come out stronger. "Your father would have been proud," he said. She nodded, eyes bright in the morning sun. A few weeks later, Lily stood in front of the old store that once belonged to her family. The government had given it back to her, along with more than she ever expected. John came by, hat in hand. "You could rebuild this place, make it bigger than before." Lily smiled. "I could, or maybe I could use it to help others who lost everything too." He smiled back, a quiet kind of pride. And as they stood there, a warm summer wind moved through the street, carrying the dust of a new start. People in Clear Creek still talk about that night. Some say it was justice. Others call it fate. But the truth is simpler. It was a choice made by two people who refused to stay silent. Because sometimes it only takes one person brave enough to stand up for others to find their voice. And sometimes that one act of bravery can change the whole town. Now I want to ask you something. If you were John Carter, would you have done the same? Would you risk everything to protect someone the world had already turned away from? Take a drink, lean back, and think about it. And if this story moved you even a little, click that like button. It helps more than you think. Then tell me in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is right now. I would love to know. Before I end this video, I just want to take a minute to speak from the heart.
I want to thank every one of you for supporting this channel, for watching these stories, and for leaving kind comments. I have read many of them. Some of you are watching late at night, and I truly value that. But please take care of yourselves. These videos are meant for comfort and thinking, not to keep you from your sleep. If it is already late where you are, maybe it is time to close your eyes and rest. I also want to say I am sorry if I cannot reply to everyone. The truth is, I am not as young as I used to be. After long hours of making these videos, I often feel tired. That is why I try to take better care of my health. And in doing so, I have learned to care more for all of you, too. So thank you truly for being part of this little place of peace we built together. Take care of yourselves, get some rest, and I hope tomorrow brings you calm skies.